Today, we're going to evaluate a chilling encounter as told to me by a friend of a family friend who lives in Tennessee. As he put it, his encounter with a hairy beast on his farm left him shaken and questioning what might be lurking in the nearby forests. Just to give you some quick background, that family has owned this farm, nestled up against the foothills of the Appalachians, backing up onto some public parklands since the 1940s. The man telling me the story said that terrain quickly becomes rugged as you move into the forest, and he mentioned that his grandpa always warned him about going too far into the forest. He'd always dismiss these warnings as a way to keep him out of trouble. Well, that was until one evening late last October, when he stopped dismissing them so easily. He'd noticed that his cattle had been unusually agitated for days, staying close to the barn and not venturing towards the creek where they'd often wander to in search of water. Thinking perhaps a predator like a pack of coyotes or bear was nearby, he decided to check out the creek bed and woods beyond just after sundown. Armed with a flashlight and a Glock 20 handgun just in case, he headed out on foot so as not to spook the potential interloper with the noise of his quad runner. As he neared the edge of the woods, he heard something large moving in the brush. It couldn't be a cow, they were all accounted for. The footsteps seemed different, unsettling, since it didn't match the sound of any animal he recognized. A loud snap of a branch signaled it was getting closer. Then he saw it. Stepping into the moonlight at the tree line about 100 yards away stood a massive figure, easily 8 feet tall, broad-shouldered, covered in thick, dark, matted hair with long arms. He was frozen in fear, his legs felt wobbly, unable to run. The creature simply stood there, staring in his direction, though he couldn't make out its face. After what felt like an eternity, it stepped back into the woods, moving with surprising silence for its size. He noted it moved much more quietly leaving than it did when approaching. He said he didn't fully recall getting back to the house, just that he ran as fast as he could because he felt overwhelming fear. The next morning, he claimed to have found some evidence of the encounter, large footprints in the mud near where he saw the figure, barefoot impressions, but much wider than a human's, and unlike any bear track he'd ever seen. Yeah, you're right. No photos of those prints or anything else. We'll get back to that in a moment. So what did he encounter? Let's break down the possibilities. In our round the dinner table talk, there was a mention of local Bigfoot rumors, tales that rational folks usually dismissed as folklore. Yes, you're exactly right. The description aligns remarkably well with classic Sasquatch reports, especially from the Appalachian region. Perhaps too well. The height, hairy appearance, broad build, and the large, human-like yet distinct footprints all fit the profile. The creature's initial noisy approach followed by a silent retreat is also an interesting yet not uncommon aspect of this encounter. Some reports suggest these beings can move almost silently, like forest ninjas, when they choose to do so. Was it aware of the human presence and perhaps displaying territorial behavior or curiosity before deciding to withdraw? Well, let's let the idea of it being an actual Bigfoot encounter stew a while and consider some other options. So what about misidentification? Could it have been a known animal? The person who reported it has been a lifelong farmer who is familiar with local wildlife, so in theory, he should be able to have figured out if it was a known critter. He explicitly ruled out a bear based on the sounds it made, what it looked like, and crucially, the human-like footprints. We have to take into consideration that a black bear can stand on its hind legs, maintaining that posture for a while, appearing quite tall and scary, especially in the moonlight. But what about those footprints he said that weren't those of a bear? Well, if the mud is very wet or soft, the sides of a footprint impression can easily change and distort as the mud oozes. This can obscure the original shape and fine details, like claw marks, making the print appear less defined or even just a vague depression, open to the interpretation of the viewer's mind. This brings us to how psychological factors can come into play in these encounters. Fear of the unknown and low light conditions can certainly play tricks on the mind. The pre-existing anxiety about the possibility of predators stalking the cows, coupled with Grandpa's old warnings about the deep woods, could have primed his psyche for a frightening experience. Packing a Glock, while perhaps a prudent precaution, also would prime one's mind for potential trouble. We also have to consider pareidolia, the tendency for the brain to try to find familiar patterns, such as a face in randomness. This is something that can be more intense in low-light situations or when one feels uncertainty and fear. Given the nature of the encounter with its built-in nervousness, it's likely for one to think they see something even though it's not really there. And perhaps my favorite explanation, is this tale a hoax, a joke being played, or a tall tale being told? I've found that's always a possibility in paranormal cases. People like to pull my leg sometimes since they know I'm into this kind of stuff. Also, some folks often love to mess around, retelling old legends for fun, and to see if anyone will either fall for them or call BS on them. This tale does suspiciously contain the classic elements of a Bigfoot encounter, which makes me question its veracity. After all, the description of the creature neatly fits the popular image of Bigfoot we've all heard for decades. About the only thing they missed was the bad smell. There's also the lack of physical evidence to consider, such as there being no photos of the creature or the footprints that remained behind. Well, I guess at least he didn't have a short AI-generated video of a Bigfoot to show me. To me, it sounds like yet another Bigfoot yarn being spun by someone for whatever reason. However, I wouldn't entirely dismiss the ideas of pareidolia or misidentification. After all, it's easy for someone to get caught up in a scary moment in the dark, imagining things based on movies and TV shows they've seen, books they've read, and folktales they've been told. What do you think? Was this a genuine cryptid encounter? A case of misidentification? A hoax to get attention or to prank others? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, although, putting on my fortune teller hood, I see most of you are thinking hoax, right? And until the next time our paths cross, watch the skies, watch the forests, watch the deeps, always using a discerning eye.